don't want you to know what it feels like to keep all of this pain so concealed. Like, I want out of this plane, I told my psych, you don't need to, you don't need to. I'm losing patience, living in damnation. I'm dark vibrations, singing incantations. It must sound like I'm mad, I'm never found to be glad. I'm working out of the math, the answer's always been sad, yeah. I'm a zero summation, lost in translation. Here's my resignation, from this life I'm not staying. My whole lifestyle passing fad. You'll remember the times we had, the times we had, yeah. All these pleasures my brain can't have, I want out, so please don't be sad. Give it up cause I'm getting out, don't be sad, you could let it out. All the shit I'm forgetting now, my whole life I've been checking out. All I said you could send it out, light it up, now I'm headed out. This is the end of my part now, we will be never apart, no. I'm losing patience, living in damnation. I'm dark vibrations, singing incantations. It must sound like I'm mad, I'm never found to be glad. I'm working out of the math, the answer's always been sad, yeah. Don't leave, I need you with me. Don't die, I need you alive. Don't go, don't leave me alone. You said, yeah. My entire life feels like one big mistake, and all these pills inhibit re-uptake. I can't arrive at any reason to wait. Take it one at a time, only take it one night at a time. And I don't care, cause I don't give, I take. From this world so superficial and fake, and all your joys I simply cannot relate. Take it one at a time, only take it one night at a time. I say goodbye, it's getting late now. Please don't cry, you'll know I made it out. Say goodbye before I fade out, before I fade out, before I fade out. I'm losing patience, living in damnation. I'm dark vibrations, singing incantations. It must sound like I'm mad, I'm never found to be glad. I'm working out of the math, the answer's always been sad, yeah. I'm a zero summation, lost in translation. Here's my resignation, from this life I'm not staying. My whole life's a passing fad. You'll remember the times we had, times we had, yeah. Let it out, all the shit I'm forgetting now. My whole life I've been checking out. All I said you could send it out, light it up, now I'm headed out. I don't want you to know what it feels like to keep all of this pain so concealed. Like, I want out of this plane, I told my psych, you don't need to, you don't need to. I'm losing patience, living in damnation. I'm dark vibrations, singing incantations. It must sound like I'm mad, I'm never found to be glad. I'm working out of the math, the answer's always been sad, yeah. I'm a zero summation, lost in translation. Here's my resignation, from this life I'm not staying. My whole lifestyle passing fad. You'll remember the times we had, the times we had, yeah. All these pleasures my brain can't have, I want out, so please don't be sad. Give it up cause I'm getting out, don't be sad, you could let it out. All the shit I'm forgetting now, my whole life I've been checking out. All I said you could send it out, light it up, now I'm headed out. This is the end of my part now, we will be never apart, no. I'm losing patience, living in damnation. I'm dark vibrations, singing incantations. It must sound like I'm mad, I'm never found to be glad. I'm working out of the math, the answer's always been sad, yeah. Don't leave, I need you with me. Don't die, I need you alive. Don't go, don't leave me alone. You said, yeah. My entire life feels like one big mistake, and all these pills inhibit re-uptake. don't give a take from this world so superficial and fake. In all your joys, I simply cannot relate. Taking one at a time, only taking one night at a time. I say goodbye, it's getting late now. Please don't cry, you'll know I made it out. Say goodbye before I fade out. Before I fade out, before I fade out. I'm losing patience, living in damnation. I'm dark vibrations, singing incantations. It must sound like I'm mad, I'm never found to be glad. I'm working out of the math, the answer's always been sad, yeah. I'm a zero summation, lost in translation. Here's my resignation, from this life I'm not staying. My whole life's a passing fad. You'll remember the times we had. Times we had, yeah. Let it out, all the shit I'm forgetting now. My life I've been checking out. All I said you can send it out. Light it up, now I'm headed out.
Transition. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the zoo. I am the Rusty Panda, and I am here for you. Today we've got Jawmsie up in the house. Wah, 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 wah.
Wow!
And there's an ad, so I'm going to hold off and wait a second. Usually I have a second or two. So we're just going to, like, talk through the ads. It's just going to be fun. We're just going to...
Yeah.
So, yeah, how's your day?
It's been good, you know. Hey, what's your favorite curse word?
I love that. Well, the answer
like
is...
I don't know. I like the idea of the least ad-friendly content while the ads are happening.
It's a bleep. No, okay, so hello everybody. I'm the Rusty Panda. This is Wiki Wednesday, the show where we ask the streamer 15 things they like, 5 things they don't. We go down the Wikipedia rabbit hole, learn some things about the streamer, learn some things about the topics, and it's overall good time. So, Sai, good to see you. Welcome on in. Galvos, welcome on in, playing Mass Effect. His Steam thing just popped up. That's my husband. His Steam thing just popped up that he's playing Mass Effect, so that's why I was like, he's my mod. And so I was like, oh, I'm stalking you. You're playing Mass Effect. Anyway, so I opened this up here on Nintendo. We had a few things under that topic branch, which we will talk about. However, I thought it was a safe assumption to go ahead and start with Nintendo. So, do you prefer Nintendo over like Xbox and PS and all that other stuff? Is Nintendo kind of a niche for you, or do
not really? It was a huge part of my life as a kid. We always had like the GameCube, the Wii, all that sort of stuff. Later, I would find like an N64 for $5 at a swap meet. Sort of like it was always sort of Nintendo was always sort of present in my life.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of my main touch point for video games. I sort of fell off once I started picking up guitars and stuff.
And you have a Switch now, or?
You know what? My roommate owns a Switch. I do not.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I haven't bought a new games console once in my entire life.
Oh yeah, you gotta get it refurbished, kind of thing, or?
Well, you know, like as a kid, like the folks would buy like the family game console, and then by the time it was time for me to start buying stuff like that, it was like I was just more interested in the retro stuff, let alone the fact that it was cheap.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Completely fair. I know a lot of people who just prefer the retro games, and that's why even Nintendo has a service on their Switch where you could play the retro games that they have. Granted, it's like a subscription, so you're playing X, we'll talk about this too, but it's a subscription which you're paying X amount for the year, but you do get access to all the retro games that they have, so it's a nice little backup. But let's talk about the N64.
Yes, let's.
So let's talk about the N64. You were just here and now you're not. All right, that's fine. I'll type it in. N64. I swear it was just on the Nintendo page. Like I had it and then it was just gone. All right, so let's talk about the N64. So this is your system right here.
It is a system I got. As like a teenager.
Okay, and so you said you refound it, or do you still have the one from your teenage years?
Yeah, I still have the same one. I bought it. So I used to live in southern Alberta in a town called Medicine Hat,
Okay.
and there was a town like 2 hours away that would have this giant swap meet where like just a group of people would rent out their convention center, and folks would just sell their crap. Uh, One guy had a fully working N64 just with no controllers, and he only wanted $5 for it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was how I got my N64.
That's...
And that was actually a fountain of deals, because the following week I went to a local pawn shop, and it was just like, hey, you guys have any N64 games? And they pulled down their little like $7 bin, which happened to contain a copy of Ocarina of Time.
Oh.
It was not supposed to be in there, but they did honor the price.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was. Yeah, I also got GoldenEye for $3.
Oh my gosh!
Time.
What a game, GoldenEye! Oh, it's a friend ruiner, is what it is.
Yeah, I know, but that's why the N64 holds such a special place in my heart. I came to it well after its like commercial lifespan.
Yeah.
But it was like kind of one of those first things where I was like self-sufficient as a kid and like funding and providing for a hobby.
Yeah, and it's N64 was one of the first like real 4-player multiplayer systems. Besides, you had when did the PS1 come out?
Yeah, I think the PS1 beat them to market by a little bit, if I remember correctly.
Let's see. PlayStation came out, the first one in the US. Where is it? EU. Japan in 1994. Let's just say the PlayStation came out in Japan in 1994. The N64 was 1996.
What are you doing? Oh God! Hold on a second. My roommate's cat is a fucking moron and has gotten stuck on my acoustic treatment.
Okay,
hold
go ahead.
please.
Yeah.
Maserati, what are you doing, you little dingus? Just release the claw. Just release. All you have to do is let go. All you gotta do is let go, buddy.
This literally just happened to me like
and
10 minutes ago.
Now you're knifing my couch. This little, look at this little goober.
Oh, hello.
All
so
right.
cute.
I gotta kick her out.
Okay.
You little goober. Sorry about that.
No. That's totally fine. My cat makes biscuits on me all the time, but the problem is her nails have gotten really long. And so she's literally got stuck in my shirt and my pants like multiple times today, and I have to like keep squeezing her nail out because it's in my body, and stuck.
Yeah, that's familiar. She loves to knead.
Yeah. Love the biscuit. And it's funny because I have like marks all over my body, and Galvos is like, "Why do you let them do this to you?" And I was like, "It's love, and love hurts."
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
It is interesting that you brought the PS1 up, though, because that was actually the first game console I ever got to play when I was like a really tiny James Lit. So like.
Yeah. Hey, Davey.
Davey, hey.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. There was something so special about the N64, with its multiplayer aspect, like things like GoldenEye. Where the graphics were so different, and you really had back-to-back graphics between the PS1 and Nintendo 64. My favorite N64 game is Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Oh yeah.
I think that is one of the funniest games I've ever come across in my life. But I still love Ocarina of Time. I've never beat it. I usually get up to the part where like in the open field, and then I'm like, find me out, and then I'm like, I'm good. Let's start over.
I'm good.
I've peaked. This is not going to get any easier from here. This is a hard game, so.
That's fair. So you like me do not play video games for the challenge then?
No, I play for leisure.
Yeah, I feel that.
So what you said you pulled out a bunch of games. What's your favorite game on the N64?
Okay, so there's two categories to this. So the game that made the best first impression on me was actually Wave Race 64. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Oh.
It's talking about like graphical marvels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talking about graphical marvels. That game
Oh,
has some of the
this.
best. It has the best looking and feeling water physics I've seen on almost any game, and they had almost nothing to work with as far as like simulation goes.
Yeah. Oh my god,
Like,
I totally remember this. My friend Becca
yeah.
had it. That's so funny. Any more pictures? No more pictures.
Yeah, no, but I just remember like wave race. Okay, let's see what this is about. And I was like, whoa. So first impression wise, wave race. In terms of the place that a game holds in my heart, it's got to be Ocarina.
Yeah.
I have beaten it. It took me a long time, but yeah, that was one that I first experienced on the Wii, like as a virtual console game.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got it on the N64, and I got it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. The Wii is just a different beast when you're trying to play games like that. You know, you've got your Z trigger, which is so important on the remotes, and that's why too with this stupid retro game stuff for Nintendo. All the 64 games are really hard to play because there's no Z button. So GoldenEye, you're like. You're just trying to get straight and shoot something, and you can't because there's no constant way to work with it. So,
totally.
So tell me, I mean, are you really into the Zelda franchise, or is it just Zelda Ocarina?
You know, I do like Zelda quite a bit. The only ones I've really spent a lot of time with are the very first one, because I had it as a Game Boy port as a kid, and so of course on the road, what else are you gonna do? But Ocarina and Wind Waker were kind of my two like big Zelda games. I like Twilight Princess. I'm rediscovering it as an adult, which is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Ocarina and really Wind Waker. That's probably that's my definitive that's the Zelda I think about when I think about Zelda.
Yeah, and I completely agree. The game this is on the GameCube, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this game, I would go over to my friend's house and I would watch him play, and I was like, "Oh my god, this!" Before Twitch, I was watching my friends play video games. Right, that's it. That's the kicker. But Wind Waker was on there, and I loved watching him play it. I loved the graphics. I loved the story. I could totally understand why this would be your favorite. Look at this little bugger.
Right? He's just a little guy. I will say, I hate the Wii U, but the Wii U version is the best.
Yeah.
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 It solves every problem I have with the GameCube one.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that the Wii U did an excellent job in some aspects of cleaning some things up.
Yeah, getting rid of that. Like, finding all the treasure charts was so cool. Going and getting the stuff was not. No. Yeah. And like I was only like 10 or 11 at the time of playing that game for the first time, so I couldn't even get smashed about it and just enjoy the sea. Like
2003 is when it came out. Yeah. So I was about 12.
Yeah. When actually was I in 03? I'm gonna make everybody here feel horrible.
Well, Sai is already saying it didn't exist until his teens and early 20s. So I'm sorry, Sai. We're about to do some young math.
I'm gonna do some psychic damage here. Quick bit of math.
How old are you?
So in 2003, I would have been about 7.
Wow, so you really did rediscover this game.
Yeah, no, I got it. I got my copy of it in about 06.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, right around the time that Blockbuster was starting to close down, I got my copy.
I miss Blockbuster.
So do I.
It made sense.
Yeah, Blockbuster. Ugh.
Bringing back the memories. That's what we're gonna do here.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, that's crazy. 1990, no, 1997, 98. Your year of birth.
Oh, my release year, 96.
Okay.
Um,
My release year. I love that. Oh, the 70s are cool though, Sai. You lived through the 70s. That's freaking awesome.
Hey man, you lived through the decade that defined a lot of the aesthetic of the work I'm doing now. So there you go.
Yeah. Version 3.2. No, I'm about to go into version 3.3 this year, and I'm not having it. Okay, so Wind Waker, and now we're gonna go over to Luigi's Mansion because we're gonna talk about the 2001 video game, I assume. Yeah. Okay, on the GameCube. So, what got you into this specifically, this Luigi's Mansion?
So, God, this game has been weirdly involved in my life. So, we first got the GameCube when I was about 7. Okay. So in about 03, a couple of years old. It came bundled with Luigi's Mansion and Super Mario Sunshine. Oh. And at the time, and it's funny because I've gone on to make some of the most violent horror movies that exist. But at the time, I was actually a little scared of Luigi's Mansion. I didn't pick it up until I was about 10. I was just like, I don't know, man. It's kind of dark and spooky. I don't know. But when we moved cities, like shortly after getting the GameCube, that was kind of like the keep the kids busy, get them a game console thing.
Right.
When we moved cities, I found myself with a lot more time as a 7-year-old, take stock of things, get my life in order, but also to play some Luigi's Mansion. I fell in love with the game. Didn't beat it until I was like 18.
That's fair.
Just had no patience. Maybe I was like 16, I don't know. But what I love about it is that it sort of introduced me to horror in a really safe way.
Yeah.
Which is because, like, if you actually go back and look at some of the cinematics, there's really great horror design.
Yeah. No, I agree.
In Luigi's Mansion. Like the Bogmire intro, the Goopy Ghost intro, the one from the gravestone. Like that dolly in roll to the Dutch angle, like a little bit of a zoom out. Like they did that.
Right.
they loved what they were doing, and it comes across in the game so well. All for what was just a tech demo. But the real thing that Luigi's Mansion did for me though is years later, about I want to say 6 years ago now.
So when you were 4, no, I'm kidding.
No, I guess it would have been about it would have been quite 6 years. Yeah, 2018 or 2019, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
I'd been playing the game for quite a while at that point, and I just sort of got used to it. And I beat it, I guess, in about half the time that is normal.
Right.
One day. And my sister was just like, dude, you should try speedrunning this game. That got me onto Twitch in a serious and consistent format. I did Luigi's Mansion speedruns.
Wow.
Yeah. At the time, I think I was just below top 100 for runners in the 100% category.
Congratulations.
Yeah, no, there's nothing to congratulate. I used to I wasted so much time playing Luigi's Mansion and getting stressed about how well I could play Luigi's fucking Mansion. I'm sorry, can I swear?
Yeah, you can swear.
Cool, I'll try to keep it to a minimum.
No, you're good.
I know. But I know what it sounds like when I swear a lot. It's nicer to keep it clean.
I'm Italian and from New Jersey. You can only imagine the filter that needs to happen.
Yeah, no. You're from Jersey, so you understand then. It's the same thing about being from where I'm from. Just the various parts of Alberta. Mm-hmm. The F word is basically for us. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh, fuck. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But yeah, Luigi's Mansion got me onto Twitch, and to this day, I can still beat it in about 3 hours.
Wow.
At my best, I could beat it in just shy of 2. And at the time, that was good enough to almost get you into the top 100.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh my god. So I've never played the first one. I've seen people play the first one, not in speed runs, but I've seen people play the first one. Again, GameCube was not mine, so I can only really watch games. Every single time Luigi's Mansion 3 goes on sale, I'm like, maybe I should do it. Maybe I should just do it, but I'm afraid of games that are too hard.
You know what? So here's the thing. I've played Luigi's Mansion 3. I don't own a Nintendo Switch, but I own a copy of Luigi's Mansion 3.
Makes sense.
Don't ask me how that happened. I don't know. But that game is difficult for me to talk about because it is objectively very good and a very user-friendly experience.
Okay.
But I hate motion controls so very much, and it requires you to use them.
Okay.
And of course, for me, with my muscle memory of the GameCube controller, it's just hard to play. But if you don't have that ingrained in you, you'd probably actually love it. The humor's really good. The visual design's really good. They've really elaborated on the world of the ghosts and the lore. It's so delicately and lovingly crafted.
And it's not like ridiculously hard.
I don't find it difficult.
Okay.
And I'm really bad at every video game except for the first Luigi's Mansion.
That's me. Like, I love video games. I love playing them, but unless they're like a puzzler, like Portal, I hate dying. That's the dumbest thing I could say in a video game, but it's like, I hate dying.
Yeah. I just hate, I just know what I'm good at and what I'm not. Like first person shooters. I used to play a lot of Team Fortress 2 with my friends in high school. I was really bad. I just don't like sucking at stuff.
Yeah, and GoldenEye was one of them. That's why I just started watching people do it, because I was like, I die every time they go for me first. I'm easy bait. Like, I don't want to play anymore.
yeah. GoldenEye. And honestly, leave GoldenEye in your memory. Leave it in your memory.
Yeah.
It hasn't aged very well.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's funny the things that are trying to be nostalgic that just don't age well.
Yeah. I mean, in particular, like I don't know content wise. I never got far enough into the game to see if there's anything particularly nasty there. But like, just like quality of life playing this game that is clawing to run on the hardware, really just like digging in its claws and be like, I'm trying. Like that's the GoldenEye experience.
Yeah.
It's really impressive.
Yeah.
But it's no wave race.
No. No, and honestly, like, I suck at first person shooters. That's why I don't play them. I'm trying Fallout 76 right now. But I can loot a lot of things, so that's like anything I could loot is like one of my, that's what keeps, like, you know, lets me rest at night, knowing that I've looted an entire place that somebody used to live, right? That's the joy of video games.
Totally. That's me and The Last of Us. You just walk around, just, ooh, shit, just steal.
Right. And what's worse is that apparently, so there's a weight limit, and I'm grabbing like tin cans and giant gallons of oil that's empty and all these things. And I'm like, oh, I can craft with this. I don't know what I can craft, but I can craft with this. I can sell it. I don't know which ones I can craft and sell with, but I want all of it. And he's like, you don't have to go after every tin can. I promise you have enough to craft.
But are you sure?
I know, right? You never know.
It's funny because that I don't know about you. It is infuriating to watch somebody else do that for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's exactly how I play the games.
Yeah.
It's like, no, the thing's over there. It's like, just shut up. All right, I found a muffin.
Do you play Diablo by chance?
No, I never really got into the RTS.
That's fair. Diablo was one of the few games that I could play, I guess, because it was top down and you had like distant. I always played distant characters. And there's always chests and things you can destroy and trees you can knock down and, you know, whatever. And Galvas plays with me and he's like, you need to calm down. you know, and I'm like, I can't. There's berries over here. There's blood things over here, and I have to get this. And he's like, we're just trying to get from point A to point B. We can come back, but like we're trying to progress the story.
It's like, how do you expect me to progress the story without this chestnut in particular? Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
So what games are you playing now?
You know what? Lately, I've been doing a lot of cooperative Stardew Valley.
Ooh.
That's been a lot of fun. What else have I been playing? Let me pull up my Steam list. What have I been playing? Sorry, I had to preemptively buy some games just in case they came up on Kaz's show yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, so I've been playing mostly just a lot of like party games or just like cute collaborative games.
Yeah.
For solo play, Katamari Damacy. I've been getting back into that.
Yeah.
Love that. What else? I've also been really enjoying going back and replaying Devil May Cry 4.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, which is that's a game it's the only Devil May Cry game I've ever played. But a buddy of mine thought I would enjoy the story and the construction of the cinematics, and he was right. But they also, and again, I'm bad at video games. They have managed to optimize their gameplay to such a high degree that I can play it on like hard mode
And still get it
and
through.
still get it and still feel good. Like that's the thing. Like they make their combat systems feel so delicious to operate.
Interesting.
Like it is fun. All the core mechanics of the game are fun, and it has some puzzler elements. It's really like Zelda, but like if it had a baby with like a really weird opera, and I love it.
That's fair. Do you like story games?
I like story generally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm a theater kid. I gravitate towards character and story in everything I do.
I love when there's a good story. I just don't like reading. And so when there's a good story around what's going on, Diablo, whatever, and there's a good story and I know it's going to happen, I'm just like, oh my God, can somebody just give me the cliff notes? Like, I want to know, but I can't sit here and listen to this. And that's what ADHD is like.
Yeah, you know, I think that's a nice difference. I have an unconfirmed case of the tism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So like I can absolutely just be like, yes, give me this one piece of information. I only need to take in one piece of information right now.
Right.
Holy shit, thank you.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to look into Devil May Cry 4. I believe you. And I'm going to look into Luigi's Mansion 3 next time it goes on sale because I believe you.
Yeah, don't pay full price for Luigi's Mansion.
No, it's like $20 off. Usually when they do like Mario Day was like $30 off or something like that, and I couldn't get it because I had no money. But okay, so let's see, pixel art.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute. I love that this is what it is.
Good job, Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's great. Wow. But yeah, tell me about pixel art.
So, the first video games I got into, despite like being, you know, having access to like early 3D accelerator stuff, because we were always a couple generations behind on tech.
Right.
The first games I really got into, and I regret to say this out loud on the internet, were the original Sonic Sega Genesis games, like 1 through 3.
Yes, you know? Sega Genesis.
Yeah, because we wound up getting, it was the Sega Smash Pack for the PC, for a Windows 98 PC. And we had 1 and 2, and it had Sonic 2 on one of them, and I was just enamored by that visual style.
Yeah.
And then I would check out, you know, the rest of it. They also had Comics Zone, which is an incredibly gorgeous video game. They had
yeah, this one
they had
here.
Fantasy Star, just like all these gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous video games, and it kind of blew my mind at the time, you know. And then I would, because I am me, because I'm a super normal and cool kid, you know, I would look into like how they made it, not how to make pixel art generally, but how they made it for the consoles I knew of, right? So it's like, oh, so I would learn about like palette restrictions and like how you could only have a certain number of colors within like a 4x4 square on whatever consoles, and like working within those limitations, I found really just helped me to hone in on stuff that I still use every day as a photographer, when I occasionally paint. It really helped me to hone into just silhouette as the ultimate communicator, silhouette, or you know, contour perhaps.
Okay, contour.
And just like knowing my color wheel.
Right, which is incredibly important.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to do, you know, you have to do general stuff, general education stuff when you're in college, whether or not you went, that's just something you have to do in America. And one of the things was art history. And so they just like talked up the color palette all the way. And so I didn't realize like how important that was or what, you know, you could do with it, but that makes a lot of sense.
Totally. Yeah. And really like the biggest thing about pixel art for me was just the way in which it forces you to prioritize clarity. That's the concise way of trying to say what I was fumbling with earlier.
No, you got it.
You know, that's the biggest thing. It forces you, because you're working with relatively small sprites. You know, assuming you weren't building for like, you know, for arcade, right? You're working with like, you know, the average sprite in the 8-bit era was maybe like 16 by 32 pixels.
Okay.
You have to make that a character you can connect with.
Right.
You know,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And on top of that, going back to the Sonic thing, there was a shitty little webcomic that they used to run that I honestly, it went off the rails. I was too young for what they wound up doing on that shit. I thought I was going to see some cute characters. I did not, but
wait, what was it?
So it did actually start off really, really like newspaper 3-panel strip style. It was called, let me type it in.
Yeah.
Here. And they tried to tell a really big story, but they also just got weird because they were dumb, horny teenagers, I assume.
That's fair.
But it was called Sonic Rex. And again, like seeing that webcomic, seeing the custom sprite work that they did, you know, once again, that just looking at that and dissecting that in my mind taught me so much about character and blocking and how to convey motion.
They do not have Sonic Rex on here at all.
That is a good thing.
Okay, wait. So you said horny teenagers.
I mean, I honestly, I just kind of fell off because they initially started trying to tell like way more serious stories, and then what's serious when you're 13, right? You know, they also came up with like a bunch of their own characters. It became like this weird like DeviantArt fever dream.
Interesting. Yeah, everywhere I look for Sonic Rex, it says Sonic and Wreck-It Ralph.
That is hilarious.
All of it.
The search terms have been destroyed by Disney. That's incredible.
Yeah, Sonic Wreck-It Ralph, Sonic Wreck-It Ralph. I think they did that on purpose.
Yeah, they were saving the world.
That's
from Sonic fans.
Funny. Wow. Wow. So I know this is weird, but is it like pixel art is like pointillism in some ways, right?
Totally. It's like pointillism. It's like cross stitch. There's so many things that it's like in the real world. It has a lot of analogs.
Yeah. And what's crazy is I remember going into Microsoft Paint. And it would come up in pixels, right? Because you basically were working with pixels. and I was making my own album art for like the album that I was gonna create, right? Like I had 3 different albums that I wanted to make, and so I brought it in, and then I started using like the pixels to try to manipulate exactly what I wanted to happen. And I was like, wow, I'm so smart. Look at me do things. But like, I kind of was like, not a lot of people were dealing with using Microsoft Paint to create pointillism art.
Yeah, totally. It's an incredible skill set.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you know, and you can have a lot of fun like picking and choosing what limitations you want to be constrained by as well. Like obviously modern day pixel art, you know, you can use whatever colors you want anywhere. Right. But like even think about the construction of the Mega Man sprite on the NES, right? If they had only used one layer of sprites, it would have actually been impossible for them to draw him the way that they did on screen.
Interesting.
Because you could only have, again, we're talking on the NES. I alluded to this. Wow, I'm a nerd.
I love it.
On the NES, you had a 4x4 block, and that was a sprite. And you could construct bigger sprites out of them, and most games would, right?
Right.
They would do like 16x16 for Small Mario is the classic example.
Right.
But within one of those 4x4 blocks, you could only use, I think it was 3 colors.
Oh, wow.
And if you look at the Mega Man sprite, knowing that, and you break it up into that grid, you'd be like, well, how the hell would they do his face?
Right.
The way they did it was just by making another sprite with that color and sticking it on top and moving it all at the same time. So like they would do little tricks like that.
Interesting.
You know? Or like, you know, you could only show so many sprites on screen at a time. So sometimes you would have to like make, you know, when you would go into a boss fight in like a side scroller game, and the background would always go black.
Yeah.
And the giant monster would show up. It's because the giant monster was actually drawn on the background layer that they would normally use to like draw the stage.
Oh.
And they could shift it around using, you know, less memory for sprites that way.
Right.
So lots of weird little stuff like that.
Yeah.
And to all the people out there who also watch YouTube late at night, yeah, I know. Thank you.
That's great. So then with video game emulation, right? So you've got all these classic games, and so you love video game emulation.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. I mean, do you just blah blah blah, can't type and think.
That's okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So video game emulation was how I got access to most video games when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was a filthy little pirate.
We all were.
Yeah.
Napster was real.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I never pirated music, but I pirated games and software. But emulation was kind of a twofold thing for me. I never got involved in the technical side of it, but it was always amazing to me once I understood what an emulation software actually is, the challenges people would have to go through to keep them up and make them legally. Like, again, I just loved these days I love the transgressive nature of it. It's like the emulation scene is really, really punk rock in a way, because you can't, in order to have a legal emulator, you cannot like reverse engineer from hardware and recreate the functions like by like doing a one-to-one comparison. You just have to figure it out and go, okay, wow, this function exists, so I know I need that function. You have to like clean room build it from the ground up to keep from being sued by like Nintendo or
right.
You know, so like there's that element of it. The technical wizardry is insane. The cracking of ROMs that they used to have to do is its whole own thing that I just enjoy watching big companies play whack-a-mole with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's just really cool, and it's a really cool technical challenge that like goes back to, you know, think of the early IBM PCs and the ports of like you couldn't initially port like something akin to Mario onto it because nobody figured out how to do smooth scrolling on the cards that they had in there yet, right? Like you have to have a machine that is powerful enough not to run the game, but to recreate an entire console in software.
As long as the code does the same thing but in a different way, it's legal.
Exactly.
Hi, Opinionated.
Exactly.
Welcome
Hi,
on in.
Opinionated. Yeah. Yeah, and watching people shuffle and dance that dance is just incredible. You know, like think about like Dolphin, right? We've both used that one. I assume you've played some GameCube games on your computer.
Yeah.
Think about the mental gymnastics you would have to do to recreate the Wii and the GameCube from scratch with
Right.
only a keyboard. Like,
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I just wish that I had DS games. Because, 3DS games. Because I played the shit out of the 3DS. Like, when I got that system and it was handheld, it was like a Game Boy again. And I had Zelda games, which had my favorite Zelda game on there. And then it had Animal Crossing, and that was really good. I think it was called New Leaf. And all these games that I really enjoyed, and they were very easy, like Wii games, like the new Wii games that came out. But, like, I can Bluetooth connect to Galvos, who has another one. Who has another DS. So I don't know. I really like that program, but I think it would be crazy to try to recreate it just for a few games. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Is there not a DS? Well, I guess a 3DS emulator would still be kind of tough these days.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't gotten in the emulation game since, like, where E-Bombs World used to have emulators.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's the last time I used an emulator. So I know of Dolphin, but, like, I have not used Dolphin.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so, video game emulation pixel art. We're gonna do stop motion animation.
Okay.
Boop. Okay, so tell me about stop motion.
I mean, the real reason that I got into stop motion animation is that I'm not good enough at drawing to do traditional 2D style animation.
Mm-hmm.
But stop motion was, again, a really big part of my life as a kid, because it was one of the first forms of, like, creation that I'd seen done professionally plenty of times. You know, Nightmare Before Christmas, just like, it's like interstitial shows they used to run on, like, kids channels. They would often produce a lot of them in stop motion. So this was like a really cool art form that I already liked the idea of because it looked really tactile, and really interesting. But then, as like a 10-year-old Jameslet,
Okay.
I found myself on, I think, a website called flashportal.com.
Okay.
It was like a shittier Newgrounds.
Right.
But nobody knew what Newgrounds was, so you could access it on school computers.
Oh, there you go.
But there was one creator, I can't remember the name, but he would just, and he did confirm he was a dude at the time, but he would just post these, like, over the top, absurd stop motion animated videos, and it was just like, you could see it was just some dude with, like, a cheap webcam making it work in his room, right? And, you know, in much the same way that Green Day made a lot of people realize they can play music too.
I love that.
I saw this and was like, wait, I can just do that?
Right.
You know? So I begged my parents. It's like, can I just have some clay and, like, borrow the camera? Like, it was the first, like, film adjacent stuff that I did, and I would spend, like, my weekends and my free time and all my evenings just, like, trying to make these little animations that were never very good, but what they taught me, again, was pacing. They taught me a lot about lighting. They taught me a lot about camera settings. It's something I've actually wanted to revisit as an adult, is stop motion, now that I really understand the ins and outs of how a moving picture works and, like, how compositing works. But yeah, it was just this really tactile thing, and I don't know which author said it, but sometimes in order to make yourself feel better, you just have to do something that isn't nothing. And so like I was not a very sociable kid. I didn't learn how to talk to people until I was like 14, really.
Right.
But I could create these little worlds, and I could communicate and like explore character and explore, you know, again, all these things that have become important to me as a songwriter, as a filmmaker, as a, I guess, actor on occasion. Like, it was really just like the first places where I could like explore like how to convey like action and reaction and solve problems of like, I want this thing to fall in frame.
Right.
If I just put it on a stick and make it fall and cut out the stick in Photoshop, it's still going to be choppy. So I would put like whatever it was on a stick and just like hit the button on the camera at the same time as I would move it down through the frame so I get motion blur.
Oh.
Like it taught you, like it taught a lot of like problem solving in a really tactile and really fun way that really primed me to do what I do now.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to Wallace and Gromit. That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's like the bald guy and the dog ones that Aardman used to
Got
do.
Got it.
Oh, I love Wallace and Gromit. The sheer inventiveness on display in that show.
Yeah, let me
So
see.
gorgeous.
Wallace and Gromit. Next. Oh, this is creepy. Look at this video.
Ooh. Oh, ain't that just the cutest?
That's just so weird.
Ghost cone.
Yeah.
I kind of want to recreate that.
That'd be cool. Alright, Wallace and Gromit. No. There we are. Thank you. Give me pictures. That's the picture of the guy who created it. There we are.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, man.
So cute.
Yeah, I always found Wallace's design to be like vaguely unsettling.
Yeah.
Like that man, I don't trust him.
No, I mean look at the dog's eyes too. He's concerned.
Yeah.
He's concerned.
But at the same time, I only find, and this is the magic of animation, I only find Wallace's design unsettling when he's not in motion.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When they've taken the time to like bring him to life, you know, like they didn't have any mechanism to make him breathe on camera, but his eyes were always relatively active. You know, they made him once they made him a living, breathing thing, he was no longer that scary to look at. But yeah, in that freeze frame, no, you put that hand away. You put it away. Get out.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
stop motion is pretty cool. I loved clay as a kid. I loved digging it up from the ground. Clay. My dad didn't like the holes in the backyard, but I didn't care because I liked clay.
Yeah.
So,
do you still dabble in sculpture at all?
No, I'm very artless lately. Just basically doing music production like Ableton, and then singing, and then pretending I know how to play a little bit of guitar and piano when really I only know chords.
It's okay. I also only know chords.
Okay. But that, I mean, I don't do enough art. I like coloring.
Yeah, sure.
So, I mean, I do that, but, no, I wish I got into more art stuff, but just maybe I'll get there.
Yeah. If you know, when we inevitably find the time for one art for a month and then move on to one of the more established ones again, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, cool. So I love that you started with stop motion animation and that got you kind of into film and that kind of design. Let's talk about SLR cameras.
Yeah. Oh man. So that's another very special thing.
Yeah.
So again, I would have been I was a young teenager when the DSLR revolution started happening in independent film world.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, what money did I have at that time, right?
Right.
I knew that I wanted to operate cameras with manual settings that I could take more control over and be more decisive with,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to like the autofocus, auto everything stuff that I had access to as a kid, just because, you know, that's what people want.
Right.
And it's kind of a stopgap. My dad dug out his old Mamiya ZE Quartz, which is an entry-level SLR from, I think, the late 90s.
Okay.
But since then, I've moved on to other cameras. The one that really got me into it was the Konica Autoreflex TC, which I still shoot to this day.
Okay.
But the thing that I love about a single lens reflex camera, an SLR, is two things. A, you get to see exactly the image that you're composing, save for the actual level of the exposure on the film, right? So you're looking through the taking lens.
Right.
That's really huge. I remember the first time I experienced that, just feeling like I could rule the world. But the other thing that's really great about them, and when I say SLR cameras, I specifically now I'm talking about the film ones.
Okay.
You know, talking about this little greatly, whose lens I have currently stolen to put on the camera you're seeing me through right now.
Oh.
But oops, there was film in there. Now there's a white spot.
Oh,
But
no.
it's okay. It's okay. That was $1, and I spent it myself.
Okay.
But what I love about them is that you don't have to confront what you've created right away. Like, you can see it, you can picture in your mind's eye, you can do the math and get all the settings right. But it's a completely tactile way to communicate. It's, you know, like, in a way to create. Like, I love everything about using an SLR camera. I love the dials. I love that in order to take another picture, and this is actually a great example since I didn't make that little blunder, you actually have to pull this lever, which resets the shutter and rolls a new frame of film into place.
Oh.
Right? Like, it's a very involved and very personal and very mental, like, internal, like, mental art form, I guess.
Yeah.
You know? Nobody can look over your shoulder in your sketchbook because it's in the darkness and has to stay there until it's been through 3 chemical baths.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you can be very, very personal.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, like, the tool becomes an extension of your being.
There you go.
You know? Yeah.
Daughter of Q, welcome on in.
Welcome.
Yeah, I had my first digital camera when I know it's not the same, but I'm saying as far as like having it be one of you, I had my first digital camera obviously before flip phone side cameras.
Yeah.
And so I carried that thing around with me everywhere, and all throughout high school I used it to, this is before they like banned cameras, because again they didn't really have cameras in school.
Yeah.
And so I went to performing arts high school, right? And so my acting class was the same 20 people for the same 4 years. And so I literally documented the 4 years that we grew up together, and then made an hour montage after all of it was done, and be like, Maggie, and it'd be like 1 minute of her talking because I interviewed them, and it's like, what are you gonna miss the most, and blah blah blah, and then it's over a song that I chose for them, which would be like Here Comes the Sun, because I felt like Maggie was very Sprite and all that stuff. And then we go through sophomore year, and there's 5 different of us, and so I really tried to like put this thing together, but it's all because of this mind's eye of this visual camera. Like, I take pictures now on my phone of everything because I don't want to forget anything.
That's actually, you know, this is interesting to me. Total non sequitur.
Love it.
Do you actually have a mind's eye?
I don't know. I don't really know what that is.
So, like, apparently, I don't have this, which is funny because I work in so many visual mediums and do so much visual design. When somebody tells you, like, close your eyes and picture something in your head, do you actually, like, come up with an image?
Yeah.
I don't have that.
I've heard of that. I've heard of people who don't have that. And the first time I heard that, I was like, shut up. And then people are like, yeah, I can't see what that is in my head. And I'm like, but how?
Yeah.
And so it's a very different
Yeah, it's almost like I see my mind's eye, and I don't mean to be. This is maybe not the most appropriate way to word this, but like it's almost like I feel the contour of the thing that I'm picturing in my mind.
Okay.
Like I can sort of like I can't see it, but there's like the haziest idea of the contour of it. In my
Okay.
brain. You know, it's like I imagine things through Braille. Um,
Interesting. That's a great comparison. Captain Erock with a party of 36.
Whoa!
Welcome on
Yeah.
in, everybody.
yeah. Which is funny again because I'm a fully sighted person who literally only creates visual art to pay my bills.
Yeah.
Well, I create corporate training videos, but still.
Right. Same thing. It's not.
No,
No.
there's no art.
I know.
There's not 1 ounce of art.
Captain Erock and friends, you're probably sitting through an ad right now, but welcome to the zoo. Sit back, relax, enjoy the bamboo, and welcome on in. This is Wiki Wednesday, the show where we ask the streamer 15 things they like, 5 things they don't. We go down the Wikipedia rabbit hole. We learn some things about the streamer, learn some things about the topics, and it's a good old fancy good old time. I don't know what I was getting at. Oh, that's a cute bear.
Yeah, it's my friend Zan's emote.
Aw, that's a really cute bear.
Yeah.
Captain Erock, how is your stream? I hope it is well. What is well is unless you're still streaming, but otherwise, I hope it was well. Okay, so that's interesting about the mind's eye.
Yeah.
I love how you compared that to Braille because then it made me understand exactly what you're talking about.
Cool.
Yeah, that was a great comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So we're talking about, design and stuff. We talked about stop motion animation. Let's talk about interior design.
Yeah. You know what? I should almost switch lenses on my camera right now. Now, of course, my studio's a goddamn disaster.
Okay.
But I love and respect the vibe of a room so much. It's so important to me, at least in my personal space, is to have like a curated environment that's comfortable to be in, that is inviting, and that is conducive to what I want to do in the space. So like this is my bedroom because I live in an apartment and I share it, but it's also my home recording studio. So like,
right.
In order to make the studio thing function, I actually gave my sister my old bed. I had a gorgeous queen mattress that I got for very, very cheap from a reputable seller.
Okay.
I got rid of that and I instead got myself a pull-out couch from the 70s.
Yes.
Because the vibe.
Is it comfortable?
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's no worse than sleeping in a van. So like, in fact, I would say of the two, I like it more.
Yeah.
But like that's the thing. Like, or even I helped my buddy Yor build his recording studio recently. It's called Widow Grave. You can hire me to produce bands there. But same deal. We certainly wanted to make it acoustically sound. We certainly wanted to make it, a functional studio, but it also has to feel nice to be there.
Right.
Like imagine going into like an oppressive space that chokes you out and then you have to create. Impossible.
Yeah.
But like, outside of even me, like my friend Siddles, her house is perfect for her. The colors match up with her personality. You can see parts of her life just in the things she's chosen to keep around, the decor, the furniture choices. Like a really well-designed space should feel like a hug from the owner of that space.
Right. Yeah, my only like cool thing, and we're gonna see the man behind the curtain.
Wow.
Okay, so this is behind me here. So we've got my mod sword, or the diamond sword from Minecraft, but they call it my mod sword. This is my knight sword, although I have an actual knight sword next to me because I do LARPing. says Broadway, and it's a mouse pad. This says no vacancy because that's from not Dashboard Confessional. Death Cab for Cutie. I've got Johnny Cash record behind me. I've got Fleetwood Mac on the other side. Ukulele, panda ears, and then above that it's Zelda. It says I dream of pumpkin spice lattes, and I saw that karma.
Nice.
So, and I have it completely designed with lights.
Heck yeah.
And that's my only design. Literally. The only thing that I've done for myself in this house is that board right there.
Nice. So what I'm hearing is that you have plenty of room and time to make it a bit more your own, if that's something you want to do. Some people don't value that.
Yeah. I mean,
or don't have time for that.
Yeah, or don't have money for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have money. Here, hold up. Let me let me do that. So, oh no, it's the void.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of this stuff is either made or found, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is actually not my favorite studio I've ever had, and the vibe is currently compromised because my backlight lamp exploded after 17 years of service.
Oh no.
But yeah, like I'm a very function first person, so like I find form based on function. So like I think when I come into this room, when I came in here the first time, I was like, okay, how would I use this? And it's like, okay, I know that I need to. My computer and my primary microphone has to face an exterior wall,
mm-hmm.
so that I make whatever noise I make reverberates into the building as little as possible.
Right.
I need this couch to take up as little space as possible, so it has to go on a long wall and be tucked into a corner, right? And
mm-hmm.
so like those are kind of the two things. Those were the main points of like, okay, I have to interact with this stuff the most. Then it was like, now knowing that these are my two primary like sitting points, how do I make everything else serve me there? So off to camera, I guess that'd be camera right.
Mm-hmm.
I've got my guitar sled, so 5 of my guitars that I play a lot are just within arm's reach of me,
mm-hmm.
in what should be my closet. I've got a guitar. I've got 2 guitars on both of the short walls, so I've got an ukulele on this one. My gigging acoustic is hung up on that one. I've got one of my basses hung up there, one hung up over there, and again, those things being hung up means I can just grab them off the wall. I don't have to think about it. If I have an idea, plug and play.
Right.
So that's really conducive again to the creativity, but also my instruments are beautiful. They were designed by beautifully minded artisans. They were designed by people who thought very carefully again about contour, about shape, about color, about how to get the most function they could. I'm sorry, as much form as they could out of the function of the device, right?
Right.
So there are these gorgeous, highly skilled, like, I don't know. Instruments are art pieces. They happen to be highly functional, and they deserve to be displayed as such.
Yeah.
And that's everything. Like my acoustic treatment, I made sure to make it pretty to look at. I have this old rug that helps with the echo in the room, but it's also just really nice looking. Yeah. It's something I want. Mm-hmm. So like,
yeah.
Thinking about that stuff can just make a space so much more comfortable, even if it's just a rearrangement of your room. Like my record player and my records, I can access them with one arm lying down in my bed if I just want to flop out and listen to music.
I love that.
Like that was a choice,
I guess I have a little interior design in my bedroom because my curtains match the walls very well. And then on my side of the bed, I have one of those, the Japanese screens.
Yeah.
At my bridal shower, we had those because it was a Japanese theme because I love sushi. And so that came into my room and actually covers that wall, so that way that wall isn't blank.
Cool.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
go ahead, change it.
Back to a close-up lens.
Yeah, do it.
But yeah.
It's so cool that you're literally changing the lenses.
I guess.
Cool.
that is, yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then, if we're talking about interior design, let's talk about more. We're talking a lot about your what you grew up with, what you like to do, and what you're doing now. And so, tell me about sound design.
Sound design. So it's funny. Sound design was sort of one of my first gateways into getting back into music production, because of course, this goes back to me as that weird 14-year-old kid who liked stop motion animation. You don't get any sounds for free in that world, right?
Right.
So like, in order to make something feel more lived in, I'd have to add in like footsteps or the sound of like a cup being lifted off a table, or when a character blew up for some reason because I don't know, I had to get my anger out somehow. Like how to without making a big mess in my parents' house,
Right.
create the sound of that splatter.
I love it.
Like all that sort of stuff. But it led me back into recording, and all those ideas, they don't leave you. Like think about like I'm gonna jump the gun a bit. Think about like Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
Mm-hmm.
That record is full of music work, like traditional music sounds, guitars, vocals, organs, instruments of all stripes. But it also uses things like a ticking clock.
Right.
Or it'll use like the sound of a plane coming down, or they regularly use just like the sounds of conversations that were somewhat relevant to the track, right?
Right.
Like they took those same world building things, those same like familiar sounds that you expect to hear when you're watching a movie or something that they have to add in later, and they created a similar soundscape for their music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or even now, like in music production, like one of my favorite things to do, track depending, but a motif I've been using a lot lately in my own work is I've gotten a bunch of screams from horror movies that are like public domain.
Okay.
And I set those up and play them as synthesizer sounds. So like on my one track, I regret to inform you I'm not unhoused, which is on my Bandcamp. You can find it at jawmsie.bandcamp.com. Hell yeah, media training.
I love it.
But like towards the end, I really wanted to communicate the world that the character of the song is living in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his world is very confusing. He's based on a real guy that I met at 3 a.m.
That's the best stories right there. Yeah.
But like so I dropped out all the traditional instruments and I just played this really low, like sawtooth synthesizer pad, almost kind of like the harsh electronic equivalent of like a Gregorian chant. And then I bounced this scream sample, repitched to be a counter melody, following the chord structure that would have been there.
Right.
I first of all, I repitched it. I created that melody out of these screams and soaked them in reverb so they're not really super identifiable.
Yeah.
But then I would bounce them from like your right ear to your left ear, middle. Like I put those screams constantly in motion, even if they were on the beat. And that creates a mood, right? Or if we go back to video games, like obviously modern day video game production has all the same foley and challenges of a feature film.
Right.
But if you look at independent titles, or you look at even just again older titles, like let's talk like 16-bit era.
Right.
You want to talk about sound design, like
bop, bop,
just,
bop, bop,
like,
bop, ding 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 ding.
Yeah, like my favorite case of sound design to talk about actually is like in that world is the Super Nintendo.
Okay.
Because it was an entirely sample-based system. So you would load in these, like, I think 4-bit, super bit crushed sound samples that you could then stretch out or shrink down to get different pitches out of them. So like a lot of video game music, especially from like the Rareware team, they would sample like actual synths. They would sample actual like instruments, and then use those sounds and pitch shift them and do all kinds of crazy shit to them to create those lush orchestral melodies that we all remember so fondly.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Or completely different system, but same era, the Sega Genesis, it was FM synthesizer based. So think about like for the musicians out there, think about like the Yamaha DX7, right?
Okay.
Really famous synthesizer. It's the one that they played the intro to Jump on. You know that. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
That was probably unintelligible.
No, I got it. I knew exactly what you did.
But
Galvos, we have a bot. Go ahead.
Be gone, bot. But their sound design came from that style of creation. There was a sample function on the Genesis, but it was not used as much. But what they had was a very capable sound chip from Yamaha that you could program to create different synth tones, and it's you know, it's why that console sounds like that. It only had the one canvas to work with.
Right.
And from that one chip, I guess there were two chips. There was another like bleep bloop chip that you could use for like sound effects. But you had to figure out how to modulate waveforms in order to create like a guitar sound, or, you know, the sound of, say, a coin pickup.
Right.
You had to do the mental math and put in the real math, and then hope that it added up correctly, right?
Right.
Like, that's beautiful sound design. That's another incredible way to have to think about how, you know, a waveform is created and how to create a world.
Right.
You know, it's just,
it's fascinating.
I don't know. I was always going to do something sound based because like I can walk around and I'll startle myself because I can hear my own footsteps echoing off a building like 100 feet away. Like,
do you have synesthesia?
No.
Okay.
No, but I just hear a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Before I went to rock concerts, I was able to hear like a storm like a couple hours away before everybody else.
I love it. Yes. Gizmo, welcome on in. Gizmo is one of the ones that I went over and watched video games with. So he's the one who owned Wind Waker. He's the one who owned the GameCube, Animal Crossing, all of that. And we would just go over and watch him play. So,
what was your favorite one to watch?
Me?
Yeah.
I really like the Dragon Ball Z one. Can't tell you what the game was called. But that was a lot of fun because they let me play sometimes and it wasn't terrible. But actually my favorite one to watch was Wind Waker.
Yeah.
Yeah, hands down.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, that's fascinating. Sound design, when I was thinking about going into sound design, back in college, there was this class, it was like audio design, and basically we had access to like hundreds of just sounds of footsteps and 3 different versions of footsteps and coins and, you know, you name it, we had it, and we had to recreate. Galarians was the one. Yes, Galarians on the PS1 or 2 was the one. But we had to recreate a film scene just by using he wanted us to not have our voices, and so he wanted us to use a scene that was very much either music based or had a lot of different things. And so we chose Pulp Fiction at the end. Tons of gunshots and you wanka and all of this and having this voices, and it was so much fun, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, like trying to recreate something, let alone create something at all. I was fascinated by it, but I was like, I don't think this is for me. I'd rather sing.
That's fair. Yeah. No, I love that stuff. Like the figuring out how to use like a broken stapler to get the sound of a gun being handled.
Yes.
Like all that little stuff. Or
yeah.
One of the coolest examples of Foley I ever saw was somebody got the sound of sizzling bacon by putting a microphone really close up to a freshly opened can of Coke.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, and like building up all the layers of that stuff is super fun. And, you know, obviously as a person with one foot in music and one foot in film, I sound is inextricable from the work I do. Even when I'm not in charge of sound. I've genuinely like done shots, like asked a director to add shots to a scene, be like, no. You're gonna hear this, so we need to see it.
Right.
Like,
that's funny. Yeah, no, I completely agree. So then tell me about pickups then.
Oh wow. So this is something I'm new to.
Okay.
This is something I'm new to, and this was the best way I could think to like talk about electrical instrument amplification, because that has always been so fascinating to me, and I've only recently had the means to start experimenting with it. But what I love about a pickup, what I really, really love about a pickup is that it effectively creates a giant microphone of whatever it is you've put it into. And I don't mean that literally. You're not going to pick up the sounds of a room
Right.
unless your pickup is broken. They don't get microphonic unless they're damaged.
Right.
But what I love about them so much is just like the creative problem solving that had to happen to figure out how the hell that works.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you know, before the pickup, before the electrical pickup, you know, everything was acoustically amplified or amplified with a microphone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the introduction of the pickup that happened well before either of us were even a thought.
Oh.
Of the electronic pickup, the passive electronic pickup that could just be patched into a loudspeaker and create that line level signal, completely changed the kinds of music that it was not only possible to make, but that it was possible to popularize. You know, the bass guitar didn't exist before the electronic pickup. You just had to really slam the shit out of your stand-up bass if you were going to be heard over the drums.
Right.
Right? Like
Yeah.
that is so incredibly fascinating. And then like the different kinds of pickups are really cool. So like my gigging acoustic has what's called a piezoelectric transducer in it, right?
Okay.
And I'm not smart enough to explain how that works, but basically it's really cool, and it sort of functions as a contact microphone. It's adhered to just underneath the bridge of the guitar.
Okay.
And it picks up those vibrations from 3 different spots and creates a signal that way by converting those vibrations into an electrical voltage, right?
Okay.
So that's one way to solve that problem with direct contact to your thing. And you'll see this in a lot of acoustic instruments that have been amplified. You'll see them on banjos on the bridge. You'll see them on violins on the bridge. You'll see them in guitars in various positions. You'll see them in ukuleles. You know, they're really, really cool. They're just like these basically like coins that you stick to the inside of the thing that have wires coming off of them. That's what it looks like, and they produce magic. And then the Stella pickup you're looking at, the magnetic pickup, right? That's the ones that everybody thinks about. Those are batshit crazy as an idea.
Okay.
They're batshit crazy. But basically what you're looking at is, and they're constructed in all kinds of different ways. That's where you get brands and different shapes and sizes and different, you know, functions of them. But it's basic at its core, it's basically a reverse electromagnet.
Okay.
So you remember in school, they taught you how an electromagnet works, where if you wrap a wire around a piece of metal and apply a voltage to it, it'll create a magnetic field.
Right.
If you wrap that same wire around either a group of magnets or one magnet, which I can see you're reading right now.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. It creates, it is able then to like detect the fluctuations in the interactions with those magnetic fields, right? And the more wire you wrap around those magnets, the more sensitive they become.
Okay.
And I could be wrong here. This is just my best understanding of the topic. But
no, who fucking needs Wikipedia? I got you, Jawmsie. You've been doing great.
But like, what's really cool about that is it creates an entirely different sound to a piezo, to a microphone. It's a sound that can only exist with the construct of that pickup. So again, you know, you get the bass guitar. Now you can hear the bass a bit more clearly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you get the regular electric guitar. And guitar, before amplification, was purely a rhythm section tool.
Yeah.
You know? Because again, you're going to hear it over the drums? No!
Right.
You know, like a guitar solo was not as common before electric amplification because you just couldn't fucking hear it.
Right.
But I don't know. I guess I just really like the ways that different pickups affect sounds. I like the different ways that they interact with things. You know, I love the naturalistic tone of a piezo, a good piezo. I love that bitey P90 tone that Opinionated is talking about in there. I'm not a huge humbucker guy, but I still love my Filtertron pickup that's in my custom telly that Twitch Cruise helped me put together.
Okay.
Like, or even my Firebird, which is that weird wonky guitar that you sometimes see me play.
Yeah.
Those pickups are entirely unique in their construction to any other kind of pickup, and they sound different as a result.
Okay.
It's just neat. It's just neat, and I don't understand all the science of it yet. I just know how to take them out and solder them, and sort of how like different like capacitors might change the EQ curve.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I love the magic magnet boxes that make it so that I can go weedly deedly dee on a guitar.
Weedly deedly dee. Let me write that down. Hold on. Weedly deedly.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's friggin' fascinating. I knew that pickups existed, but I didn't exactly know what they were.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
I think I love the idea of them more than I love like the tool itself. It's you know, I don't love an SLR camera because it happens to have a lens and stuff on it. I love it because of the tactile experience I have with it.
Right.
It's very much the same way with the pickups in my guitars. Like it is a tactile thing to raise or lower the pickup closer or further from the strings to change that.
Right.
It's a tactile experience to say, no, I want to hear, you know, when I got to put together my telly, I only put one normal pickup into it. I put in the bridge pickup that you'd expect, but I was able to select and say, no, actually this other pickup from Gretsch, their Filtertron pickup, it's like picking a different microphone for somebody's voice.
Got it.
You know, on a telly, you know, they're legendary for that jangly high end, but in the mix you always have to beef up the low end a little bit, otherwise it just kind of sounds sad in the low.
Right.
But I was able to select a pickup from Gretsch that was designed to recreate the acoustic guitar tone in a different way from a piezo, so it has way more of that low end warmth that I would normally have to add in post. So like that creative decision creates a more unique tone and a more, to my ear, finished tone straight from the guitar. So thinking about stuff like that is really just exciting.
Yeah, and the Telecaster pickups are legendary.
They are. I don't like the neck telly pickup. I don't. That's why I put a Filtertron into mine. But it is a gorgeous sound, and it's a very important sound.
Okay.
It's not that I don't like it. It's just that to my ear, it sounds lonely. Now the telly bridge pickup, irreplaceable.
Okay, while we're still on music, and then we're gonna switch off of music for a little while. But this is about progressive rock.
Yes. Okay.
So tell me some bands, sir.
So I've been listening to a lot of Mike Oldfield. I've constantly had Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds on repeat. Of course, we can't talk about prog without talking about Pink Floyd.
Absolutely.
You know, those are kind of the big three: Mike Oldfield, Pink Floyd, and that weird rock. All the rock operas to me fall under that prog rock lens. You know, Tommy by the Who is very proggy.
Yeah.
Like, I think what it comes down to again is I love the sound design of it all, but I also love how very expressive the music is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like think about a David Gilmour guitar solo, right? The dude just emoted. It wasn't about technical fuckery. It wasn't about how fast his sweep picking was, and that shit's awesome.
Yeah.
It was about how do I make this guitar sound like it's screaming the way I want to. Like
that makes sense.
There's something gorgeous about that. Or again, like, you know, using different snippets of stuff, using unconventional sounds. You know, the way prog evolved into like now like indie pop stuff. Like Jack Stauber is a very, very, very proggy guy.
Yeah.
Or Sparks.
Sparks.
God. You know, I don't know if a lot of people would think of them as a prog rock band, but I certainly do, because again, they just fucked with sound so much. You know?
Yeah. No, I agree. This is interesting. I just clicked on list of progressive rock artists. There's a lot.
Oh yeah.
But I'm trying to find like the most like
Brian Eno,
yeah. I'm trying to find the most like besides Pink Floyd, the most obvious ones.
Oh man.
Or the Muse, interesting,
yeah.
is on
Oh,
that
yeah.
list.
Muse, yeah, I guess they do some occasionally proggy shit. Yeah, that makes sense.
There was a song called Lebanese Blonde, and I'm trying to remember who sang it, but that was crazy. That was so prog rock, and you just feel like psychedelica. But anyway,
Was it by Thievery Corporation?
no.
Cool.
Let me see. It's off the Garden State soundtrack. So hold on.
Yeah, valid. Yeah. Oh yeah, Genesis definitely.
Oh, Genesis, 100%.
Oh man, a couple of tracks.
I love Genesis.
Yeah. Have you ever listened to their Canadian band? I don't know how far they reached out of here, but they're called Prism.
No, and you were right. It is Thievery Corporation. I'm so sorry.
Nice. It's okay. I googled it. But
yes is a good one too.
Yeah, yes. I've got a couple of their.
What about Styx? Does that count?
Sure. You know, like I'm not here to gatekeep what is and is not part of the genre. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I go for the older progressive rock, I guess. The newer stuff is hard for me to determine because it gets so muddled now, you know?
Yeah, I mean, everything kind of has prog elements to it these days.
Right.
You know, like producers are way more into sound design than they've ever been. You know, like the Andrew Huangs of the world really kind of took that forward.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but like honestly, if nothing else, this is my PSA to you beautiful people. If you want some orchestral proggy bullshit, I think the album is also called Armageddon, but there's a Canadian group called Prism, and their tune Armageddon and that whole record that it came off of are just so incredible. And again, some people would call them proggy. I don't know if you would, but their singer Jeff Harlow has one of the craziest voices, and they just had fun with sound, you know, like they mostly played with synthesizers to bring in like interesting and new things.
Mm-hmm.
But they would also like bring in an orchestra just for one part, or put their vocalist through like some kind of crazy delay to make a point.
Right. Right.
Like just the love of sound is so present in the work, and I think that's the big thing. It's not just the love of music and prog rock, it's the love of the whole.
There's a indie band called Stars. And
Stars.
Yes, and they are a Canadian band, and they are very much prog rock now that we talk about it, because they will bring in big band, and then they'll go into a completely different sound.
Yeah.
It's so good. They're so good. Probably like top 10 favorite bands.
Totally.
Okay, so I'm trying to think. We got progressive rock. I want to know, now that we're kind of out of music, let's talk about, well, we're not out of music. I'm saving musical theater for last. Okay, so I want to talk about puppetry.
Yes.
Tell me more.
So puppetry came out of the love of stop motion, because you know it's a whole fuckload of a lot easier than moving teeny tiny puppets frame by frame and taking pictures of them.
Yep.
Sewing a glorified sock together, putting some foam rubber in its arms, and putting sticks on it, and just doing this shit.
Yep.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so obviously I was very much into like a Muppet style puppet building thing. That was like me, like ages like. I definitely had like a puppet phase of just like building and designing characters for the purpose of like performance on camera, a la like the 70s Muppet Show, like between like ages, I want to say 11 through like up until I was like 16, I was still building a lot of puppets.
That's awesome.
And it's, I don't know, once again, it was just kind of like, it was a really accessible way to just, again, explore design, to write scripts, and then be able to, you know, use my voice to create different characters because I didn't have friends. So I would try to put together these stories, and it would be like, okay, you know, I'll create this world once again. And it was just, I don't know, it was fun. It was just really, really fun to like think about the motion of the thing, think about how the shape of it informs the motion in the design phase. You know,
Right.
think about like, if a guy has this sort of voice, how would he kind of move and what might he look like? And then working backwards and building the thing.
Right.
You know, so again, it was just really fun to explore that sort of like character creation, contour, color. It all goes back to those things, you know, silhouettes, especially. You want to talk about importance in silhouette design?
Yeah.
Look no further than puppets. Like, think about like anything from the Henson Creature Shop. Backlit without seeing it, you know what character that is.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, it taught me a lot about like the art of creating iconography. It really helped me find more creative ways to use my voice. And then as I branched out into like hanging out with more other people, you know, it became like a tool to augment stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I don't know, we want to have a weird dismembered talking horse head in this thing. Build a puppet, right?
Yeah.
That's a weird. We didn't do that, but
No, I mean, it seems legit.
we did do Evil Dead the musical though. There is a moose puppet in that I did not build because I wasn't allowed to be a part of that show. I was too young, but I still hung out around the shop all the time.
That's great. Yeah, what's weird that you say puppetry, and it's not like a weird, you'll see what I mean.
Yeah.
This Wiki Wednesday is constructed off the base of Tipsy Roo. Tipsy Roo did a version of Wiki Wednesday similar to this, but he created it, right? It's his creation. I've adapted it because Tipsy Roo is no longer on Twitch. He is a puppeteer. His whole thing on Twitch was based upon puppets. You couldn't find anywhere else on Twitch what he was doing. He had a little guy with him whose name I can't remember, but he had a thing called Hello and Good Morning. It was a puppet show, and every morning, I mean, fascinating stuff. And so the fact that this is basically created by Tipsy Roo and you're talking about puppetry, it's like full circle for me. It makes me really verklempt. Doppelping.
Doppelpig. That's delightful.
Hi,
Yeah.
Alan. Alan's
Yeah,
my
no.
DM for D&D.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Alan, I'm sorry about what you're going through.
Yeah.
You're a DM. I don't know the particulars of your game, but I know that's important.
Yeah.
And I know that you need to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah, tell him. He's amazing. He's great at what he does.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I
Go
think the biggest thing is that puppetry was just another thing, sort of like Twitch did for me when I was getting back into it. It was just another way to make performance safe and to keep the eyes like on an abstraction. It's the eye's not on me; it's on this thing.
Right.
You know, it's like mask work if you've ever done that in theater.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the exact same sort of idea.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love that this is on your list. This has not been on anyone else's list. I love things that are completely brand new, and this is a great one. So I want to make a hard left.
Yes, let's.
Okay. I have a feeling this is what you're talking about, but let's talk about cringe comedy. I imagine this is what you're talking about, correct?
The Office was one example of it, yeah.
Yeah. I could probably type in cringe comedy and it'll come up, but I figured an
the
example.
The Office is a good baseline for it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. I think the reason that I struggle with cringe comedy so much is just because like I have not always been a human being that approximated the phrase charisma.
Okay.
You know, I had a very hard time relating to like other kids and stuff growing up. And so like for me, I see the like cringe comedy shows, whether it's somebody who doesn't know they're doing something that's silly or somebody who's being made to look foolish.
Mm-hmm.
And it just digs into that little part of me as a kid who didn't understand why the fuck everybody was so mean.
Yeah.
Like,
Hands down, I completely agree with you.
yeah.
I hate cringe comedy as well. And basically for like the overall arching reason of it makes me feel uncomfortable, and I don't like feeling uncomfortable.
I don't want to laugh at a character who
Going through something bad.
Who didn't earn it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong, I'm a vindictive little son of a gun, but like, there's no inciting incident in the cringe comedy. It's just bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Egoists who overstep the boundaries of political correctness and so break social norms. The comedy will attack the protagonist by not letting them become aware of their self-centered view, or by making them oblivious to the ego deflation that the comedy deals them. Sometimes an unlikable protagonist may not suffer any consequences, which violates people's moral expectations and also makes the audience cringe.
Yeah, I think it's another element of it too. Like, there's also just like the mean-spiritedness of the characters that sometimes are creating the cringe. You know, you think of like the Ali G show,
right?
Or actually, I think that's a fine. Or now the modern equivalent, these fucking like quote unquote prank YouTubers, like.
Yeah.
The bad behavior, I think, is sometimes misconstrued by people too. Like, I have a moral issue with some of it as well. Like, because it's so hard to do satire these days when everybody is so blown up and so angry, and you know, crazy people are allowed to say crazy shit.
Isn't Twitch largely the collection point for people that didn't fit into the idiocy of general society?
Yeah, parts of it are.
Yeah, most of it. Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's like it to me, like, sometimes it sort of excuses things that we otherwise wouldn't put up with.
Right.
And to me, I still just don't want to put up with it. Like, I don't want to watch a video where somebody is dancing around being a fucking racist.
Yeah.
Even if they do get put down, it's just like, no, shut up. Yep. Shut up, you suck.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Like, yeah, I mean, there's, like, to me, there's boundaries of funny, but, like, especially if just something is just morally, you said it, morals, right? Like, if some kid is picking on another kid and then afterwards is like, yo, this was just a video, like, blah, 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 it's okay. No, just don't pick on the kid. Just don't do it. It's not funny.
Yeah, right? Like, it's, I don't know, that's the thing. There's just something, like, and again, like, I enjoy me some earned schadenfreude. You know, I love watching people who've hurt me fail.
Yeah.
I love it. It's one of my favorite pastimes. Sometimes I make it happen. But like, that's different. Mm-hmm. You know, there's, and like, again, you also don't, I don't know, like, a lot of it also just goes too far. Mm-hmm. Or it's just gross. Like, shock humor is a similar category to me, like that. Like Tom Green's style of comedy, where, like, you know, he was only detracting from his own image, but people still have to put up with his shit.
Yeah.
You know, like there is that self-centeredness to it again, which I think. Yeah. I think again, it just offends me on a personal level because I had to work so hard not to be like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
No, I think that definitely covers that.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Okay, another hard left.
Yeah.
Station wagons.
I love station wagons. I love old station wagons.
Like this one, like the 1984 one?
Yeah. So, like, my first car was a baby blue 1976 Dodge Aspen station wagon. 225 6, 3-speed transmission. It had the wood panels. It had very little getup. It had a reasonable quantity of go. But what I love about, to me, a station wagon is the perfect vehicle. You can fit a whole group of friends into it. You can fit most of a small film production's worth of equipment into it. Okay. You can park them anywhere because it still doesn't have much more of a footprint than the average car. But, like, at the same time, you can load a whole truckloads worth of stuff into it. I just think they're the perfect vehicles. I did the first time when I moved to my current city, I did it in my station wagon. My previous vehicle was a 93 Volvo 940 station wagon.
I love it.
You know, and again, great to park. It had a turbo in it. It was awesome. It was the inverse of the Dodge. It had a lot of get up and very, very little go. It would launch, which was awesome in traffic, by the way.
Right.
Like you spool up the turbo and you shoot out, and then it just, I would slow down for the speed limit. But like if I got to the front of traffic at a stoplight and I knew I wanted another lane, I was getting in that lane.
Yeah.
Nobody else even had a thought to hit their accelerator. And like I didn't zip through lanes. I didn't do anything dangerous. It would just be like, I can accelerate way faster than all the other vehicles around me. But again, park it anywhere, fit a whole production's worth of gear into it. I almost died in that car. Not by doing anything irresponsible. It's just the driver's tie rod broke while I was driving.
Oh no.
It was fine. I Willy Wonka'd it into a parking lot and called AMA and sold it for scrap. But didn't hit a single other vehicle or cause any damage.
There you go. Very nice.
But I drive a minivan now, and I miss my station wagon. And it's stupid because a minivan conceptually is identical. You can fit everything into it. You can fit all your friends into it. You know, if you got to go to like an event, you could move in one if you had to. I'm not going to. You know, but it doesn't have the panache of like a late 80s, early 70s station wagon. I don't know.
This thing is crazy.
It's just a gorgeous design. I love the contour of it. Again, going back to that, I love that they are kind of a little bit off kilter and not as popular.
Yeah.
You know, like not everybody drives one. Harder to get into tickets that way, but not everybody drives one.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it's just like a really optimal vehicle. I love the station wagon.
I love that. Now, you said that the
it's probably mostly the nostalgia, but I will own that.
Yeah. So the Volvo you said that you had, or?
Yeah, I had a 940. It was Bjork's. It was a little brick. It was awesome. Yeah, I loved that car. It had boatloads of electrical problems, and I was not equipped to fix them. And then when the tie rod thing happened, I was just like, okay, here's someone else's problem now. It was still otherwise fully mechanically sound. It still ran. It's still like again, I didn't hit shit. It's just the tie rod was worn out. And it finally gave up.
Yeah, ours is a crossover, Toyota Corolla crossover, and it's kind of got that big butt too, that this has right here. And I love it because there's a bunch of extra space, but at the same token, like, I don't know. I don't need that extra space. You might for moving stuff, but like I don't need that extra space. I can do fine in my Camry.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, it really helps me, especially like, you know, gigging, doing film stuff. Like it's very much an equipment hauler as well.
Right.
Or like back when groceries were still affordable. That was nice to be able to fit them in there.
Yeah. Right. Now the 3 bags I take home that are $200.
Yeah. But you know what? It's not all bad. I've never looked better. That's a horrible joke.
Oh, that's... I take a 94 Plymouth minivan with a 4-cylinder and 5-speed over a station wagon, but seeing as they don't put a standard in a minivan, I'd have to do the Subaru wagon.
I love a Subi wagon. Yeah, I mean, I really like my minivan. If not for the fact that it won't pass out of province, so I just can't bring it with me when I do move later this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I would just have to blow half of my moving budget on a vehicle that would cost a quarter of my moving budget.
Right.
Fuck that.
Right.
You know, no, a minivan is a respectable vehicle, and again, it does what a station wagon did, but without the vibe.
Yeah.
And going back to that interior design thing, it's all about the vibe. Vibe first.
Yeah. There's a song that Galvos and I have found, and it says, "I just want to vibe till I die."
Yeah.
And it's such a funny song. It's like, I just want to vibe till I die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. It's we're living through like I think sort of the tail end of like the revitalization of brutalist architecture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you see like every building is landlord white with concrete floors and faceless, soulless, giant bay windows that don't tell you anything from the outside. You know, the vibe has not been respected in society for a while because it's really easy to build vibeless shit fast.
Yep.
So now more than ever, whether it's with the station wagon or the construction of a studio or just a nice cardigan, now more than ever,
Yeah.
we have to preserve the vibe.
Preserve the vibes. Hashtag preserve the vibes 2024.
You know, we say it non-seriously, but it is something that I think about a lot. Like, how do you create comfort and warmth? You know, to me, a station wagon does that.
Right. Yeah, it's all about a comfort zone for you, and also creating a comfort zone possibly for other people.
Yeah.
You know, please yourself and also please other people. So, okay, we've got 10 minutes here, so we're going to talk about two things. First of all, we're going to talk about something that has been on like 4 other lists,
Okay.
and that's mushrooms.
I don't like them. That's not true. I like to make a duxelle and put that into something, but I just have a texture issue with mushrooms. That's it.
Yeah.
And I haven't tried the psychedelic ones. I don't intend to.
Right.
I'm not handing this gelatinous fat blob in my head the keys. You can't have them. It's not allowed.
Okay.
The electric bacon fat in my skull is not allowed to be in full control.
There you go.
Yeah, as far as culinary mushrooms go, yeah, it's just not my thing.
Yeah, and it's
You know?
funny because, and by the way, remember when you could tell the make and model of a car at a glance, and now they look so familiar? I see slate gray on almost all the new cars, and this slate like green as well, like an army green, but like muter. And that's the 2 colors I see in all these vehicles that have the same kind of minivan crossover look. Okay, but going back to mushrooms. So this is literally on so many other people's lists. And I don't get it because I love them so much.
It's entirely a texture thing for me. Like I cannot even begin to flirt with the texture of a mushroom. I just don't. I'm incompatible with it.
What if they were cut into little worms and cooked?
That's a weird idea. I mean, like, I'm not going to turn down food that's put in front of me. And I did recently have a grilled mushroom that was okay.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't go to my way for them. And like I said, like a duxelle, like where you've minced it up really fine and cooked it down and seasoned it, and you put it in, like, a beef Wellington.
Yeah.
Some gravy or some shit. Like I love the flavor. I love the body that it brings to a dish. But I'm not going to yum down on an average mushroom.
Yeah, I can't do like mushrooms on pizza. That's a no-go for me. I'll pick those off.
Interesting. That's one place where I can sometimes do mushrooms.
No, that's a texture issue for me. That's
fair.
Because they're like, it's like having dried broccoli.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, I can eat steamed broccoli, but dry broccoli gives me a totally different flavor, and that's how I feel about mushrooms that are put on pizza. They're like dry mushrooms compared to a mushroom that I can like cut up and eat in oil.
Yeah, sure.
I just made a cream of mushroom soup from scratch and added a little Vegemite for flavor.
Nice.
That's awesome. I have Vegemite in my house, but I haven't used it yet.
That would be a good little like savory kick. I specifically did not put cooking on my list of likes because I feel like everybody likes cooking.
No, not that many people. You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
They love food, but not a lot of people love cooking.
Yeah. But yeah.
Okay, we've got 7 minutes left now. We are
I think
going to talk
we covered
about
mushrooms.
Yeah, it's all I just need. That's why I was like, I just needed a sliver of time. Musical theater.
Yeah, musical theater is what got me into this whole racket I'm in now to begin with. I was forcibly enrolled in a little like summer camp musical theater program that was happening in my hometown. Like not summer camp. We didn't go anywhere. It was at like a local college. But like for a couple of years in a row, they would put on like these shitty little, productions where maybe the oldest person in it was like 15 and would be supervised by like these late teens, early 20s people who were there for like college credit in their like acting class. But it was just really, I don't know what it was about it, but musical theater in particular really drew me in. I think A, because I like singing, but B, again, like you get to create a world, and you get to collaboratively create a world like that. Those were my first like real social interactions where I didn't feel like a space alien.
Yeah.
Was in musical theater spaces, and that combined with photography got me into film. It's really informed the way I use sound design and music now. It really informs the way I write songs. They're always very character driven, and I don't know, musical theater. As much as I'd like to ignore it, it's a huge foundational part of my artistic being.
So my first musical theater,
Yeah.
was at a college campus as a summer camp,
Mm-hmm.
where the kids got college credit in order to teach us, and they were like 18, 19 years old,
Yeah.
and we'd put on the show after only 2 weeks.
Yep. I think we were lucky. I think we got like a month.
Okay, no, we had 2 weeks.
Yeah. But we were only there we weren't there every day.
Oh, okay.
Like they were college kids. They still wanted their weekends, right?
Right. Yeah, ours is a program. It was like arts camp, and you could do art, music, theater, or dance. And I chose theater. But
Heck yeah.
did you go into plays in school?
Yeah. So once I got into middle school, and I went to a fine arts middle school. It happened to be one of the ones that was available. Now that came at a heavy cost. It was in the Catholic school system. But the arts programs were incredible there.
Yeah.
And we put on like, looking back now, were like bougie rich kid shows. Like they would fully like rent out like this one awesome theater in town.
Wow.
For like a week-long production of the show, and like they would bring other schools in to watch us. And like the things I remember about that were like feeling safe with eyes on me, which was very new to me in theater.
Mm-hmm.
And B, the time that the technical staff at that theater would take with me and some of the other nerdier kids to be like, well, this is how this works, and this is why that does, and you know, and that on top of all the artistic stuff, you know, like I'm not much of a dancer. I was trained to fight. I move like a brick. I move like a very graceful brick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It was just the whole thing was just like a really like safe space to like understand emotion, understand collaboration, understand communication, and like really just create something and have a common goal with a group of people. That camaraderie, that kind of camaraderie was first introduced to me by musical theater, and I went on to community theater too. You know, I would do like whatever, like which of the two theater groups in town was putting on a show. I would try to audition for that and be in the chorus.
That's
like
awesome.
it was really a source of community, and now I spent too much time listening to Gilbert and Sullivan, and I write weird melodies.
Spend too much time with Avenue Q, am I right?
Yeah.
You love puppetry and musicals. Come on.
You know, weirdly enough, I never once did a production of Avenue Q.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I was too young when I was still really in the theater scene.
I never did a production of it, but I saw it live on Broadway.
I never saw it live, but at some point I might. It's the one good thing that Trey Parker and Matt Stone actually managed to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I don't know how the brain dead motherfuckers behind most of South Park could also put together Avenue Q and actually have it feel nuanced.
Yep. Yeah, I love Avenue Q. Instead of people went to the beach for prom weekend, like after prom happened, they had their own house. We went to took the train, because I'm from Jersey, took the train into New York and saw Avenue Q.
Hell yeah.
That's the nerd I am.
Yeah. How off guard did the intermission song Taking My Time?
Man, the whole thing took me off guard, because I had never really heard a lot of the music. I just knew that I wanted to hear it. And so I mean, when the internet is for porn, I was like, like I was that guy in the audience, because I didn't see it. I didn't know it.
But we need people who haven't seen it in the audience. We need that surprise as performers.
Yeah, definitely. And it was a great seats, great time. Is there anything on your list that we didn't talk about that you specifically want to make sure that we get in?
I think we covered. I didn't expect to cover everything.
Oh, I never do.
Yeah. I will do a speed round. Open concept office spaces. Stop it. I don't want to be friends with my fucking coworkers.
Done.
Subscription services. Fuck you. Let me buy it.
Yeah.
Touchscreen interfaces. I play guitar. I just can't use them.
Oh, interesting.
That's it.
Yeah.
Also, touchscreens where there should be a button. That makes me angry.
Yeah.
Let me turn the dial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my
Only the
Galvos does not like touchscreen interfaces at all.
Yeah. Oh, and special makeup effects. One last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
That is a massive part of my creative life as well. That's what I got into film wanting to do. I figured I wasn't good enough for anything, but I could make again, puppetry background. I could figure out how to work with the materials and learn anatomy and create gore effects or create, fantastical makeups. So that's also really important and something that I applied in theater and still apply in film all the time. More so just in being able to talk to the effects artist as the cinematographer and say, hey, we probably want to shoot it from this angle, so you don't have to paint that side.
Right. Yeah.
And if you do it, then we'll only be able to film from one side and you make my life easier on the day. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Just, yeah.
Awesome. Well,
yeah, that's all the things.
That's all the things. You have been a fantastic guest. We've had some great conversation. It's not just an interview, but we've had some really good conversation, and I very much enjoyed you being on.
Thank you.
I am happy that we stumbled upon each other because I think we're in all the same Discords.
Very similar spheres for sure.
Yeah. And if you ever want to do a collaborative one time, just let me know. All I got is my voice, but I write music too. And I'm happy to help.
So remember the part where I'm still fledgling, a working music producer?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll do something.
All right. That sounds good. I've got one original song, so.
Let's make it happen.
All right.
Let's make it happen. That's a really rewarding process. So.
Yeah. And
we'll get what's.
Go ahead.
That's okay. I was just gonna say we'll get what's in your head onto people's ears.
Yes, I love that, and I would love that. My birthday's coming up, so I'm kidding. And opinionated modding from my cell phone does suck, but it also mod mode is available now on Twitch on your cell phone, and I'm mainly mod from my cell phone, so that's been delightful. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and go on I'm not even gonna say the word because then everybody disappears. That's how it works. Usually try to do silent raids, but it's not gonna happen. Okay, what we're gonna do is we usually go over to your old dad, and I think that's what we're gonna do. He does a very interesting setup in which he does game shows, and not like he does the game show. We watch old game shows, and then he has different ways to interact with them, like betting higher or lower, or is she gonna get a whammy or whatever, and it's amazing. And he shaved his face. Oh my god. Okay, so we're going to your old dad. Guys, thank you so much for coming out here. I appreciate the raid, Captain E-Rock. I appreciate you, Jawmsie, for being here. This is the absolutely shittiest raid call you'll ever see in your life. But here we are. We're going on a raid. We're going on a raid. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!